Hello everyone, my name is Ben Supik. I'm the president of Activate Body. And today I'm going to show you a 30-minute mobility sequence designed to focus on the hips. We'll work the front of the hips, the back of the hips, and even the sides of the hips and everything in between. For this routine, you won't need any equipment whatsoever. However, you may want a mat or a pad of some sort for your knees if kneeling on your knees is uncomfortable for you otherwise. We'll begin with our first stretch. One of the most important aspects of the hip is the anterior, the hip flexor group. This is the space of the hips on the front where the torso meets the leg. And this is a spot in the body that gets often squished and packed down when we're in a seated position all day. So it's important to open that back up. To get a handle for this exercise, I'll give you a demonstration about two types of technique available to you. The first is if everything is very relaxed and loose. And when it is, if I try and lean forward or glide forward like so, I can go pretty far before I start feeling a significant stretch. But this is not actually the type of the stretch we're trying to aim for today. Rather, instead, it's not about how far you can go into the stretch, but how little motion you need to induce that stretch sensation. So instead we'll do the same motion, but this time around I want you to flex the muscles in your abdominal and squeeze the muscles in your backside as well. With those muscles tense, when I try and glide forward, I can't go nearly as far before I start to feel a stretch sensation on the face of, in this case, my left hip, the side with the knee on the ground. So with backside and abdominals engaged, I'm going to start leaning into this stretch and then backing off. And again, my goal is to see how tight can I keep everything while I glide forward. The better I get at this drill, the less motion I need to induce that stretch sensation. As we work through this, if we want to make it more challenging, there's a few things we can do. The first is you can grab onto the back of your foot like so. And if you pull the back of the heel towards the back of the hip, now it's even tighter as I lean forward. The second thing I can do, again while staying engaged, is try different angles. So instead of gliding just forward, I can glide to the sides or diagonally. Or to show you from front view, the same idea. I can glide forward, I can glide to the side, or I can glide diagonally. I'm going to listen to my body, and wherever I feel the most substantial stretch sensation, those are the directions I'm going to concentrate on. And relax, we'll go to the other side now. So this time the right knee is down, and the left foot is forward. Again, I'm going to tense up through my abdominals and my backside before gliding forward. Easing into that stretch. Keeping the upper body upright, it can be awful tempting to sort of lean forward, which makes the stretch a little too easy. So keeping your upper body upright and just gliding forward. Again, optionally, I can grab onto the back and pull in. And because we're not trying to train or enhance our balance here, if you feel a little wobbly, hold on to something. That's quite all right. Different angles again. Diagonal forward, off to the right side, and directly up. And relax. We're going to go back to the first side here, and while the first variation of that mobility drill was designed to hit at the hip flexors, now we're going to travel up a little higher, work on the abdominals where they meet the hip. So back to our first side with the left knee down and the right foot forward. Again, I'm tense through the abdominals. Again, I'm tense through the backside. But this time, instead of me gliding forward, I'm going to keep my hips still and I'm going to drop backwards. So now everything articulates north of the hip. So if it's not at my waist or higher, it's not moving. Again, I can try different angles, directly back, away to the side. I'll give you a front view as well. I can go directly back. I can lean away from the hip to the side, diagonal, any direction where I feel some stretchy feedback will work for me here. Again, staying tight through the backside and abdominals the entire time. And we'll trade sides. Right knee down, left foot forward. And again, tense to the backside, tense through the abdominals, and I'll start leaning back, inducing that stretch sensation. For me personally today, the sideways lean feels tighter than the frontwards. But it might change from day to day or certainly from person to person. Make sure for all these drills we're touching end range motion, meaning you're going as far as you can. Very good, and relax. For our next drill, we're going to focus on the back of the leg now, part of the hamstring group. Again, working my half kneeling position. I got my left knee down and my right foot forward, but this time I'm going to extend my foot a bit further forward, like so. Notice in this position a few things have occurred. My knee is still bent, but it's not as bent as it was when it was back here. My foot has the heel on the ground, but the foot itself is angled upward and off the ground. Again, if balance is challenged, I can hold on to something if I like. From this position, my goal is to get my nose as close to my toes as I can manage, like so. As I fold forward, I might keep the back straight if that feels more comfortable, or I might choose to bend forward. It's really what feels best to you. Either way, I'll lean forward as far as I can until I feel a stretch in the back of my hip or the back of the upper leg. Once I've figured out where I need to be, how low I need to be to induce that stretch, now I'm ready to go to work. From this position, I'm going to start to straighten out this leg, like so. So you'll notice the knee goes from a bent position to a straight position. And as I straighten that leg out, the stretch sensation increases. I want to be careful that I don't drift up. Rather, I need to stay down the whole time. If anything, I should find I can get lower as I continue to work with this stretch. If you can't get the leg all the way straight because it feels too tight, that's all right. Just go as straight as you can. And each time I bend the knee, I want to bend it enough to alleviate that stretch temporarily. This technique is often known as flossing, and the idea here, similar to when you take a new balloon out of the package. When we want it to get stretchy, we don't just grab it, pull and hold, rather we work it back and forth. And our tissue responds similarly to that rubber in the balloon. So by working back and forth, we're often able to get better increase in range of motion. Let's go to the other side now with the right knee down, left leg forward. Again, I'll begin by extending that leg a bit further forward. Knee is still bent, heel is on the ground, foot is angled upward. I fold forward as far as I can comfortably, and then I begin to straighten the leg. A little bit tighter here, so I can't get all the way straight just yet, and that's okay. But I'm certainly feeling that stretch sensation. And for a solid minute, we'll continue to work back and forth, into the stretch and out of it. I will continue to keep my upper body as low as I can, folded forward. And just working back and forth. If any of these drills feel especially tight, especially stretchy, please pause the video and spend extra time on them. The goal is not to just mechanically and mindlessly go through these drills, but rather to listen to your body's feedback. Different drills will feel like they have different levels of tightness. We want to use that information to prioritize which drills we give more attention to. And relax. Very well done. Continuing on. Next up, we're going to work on the posterior hip where it meets into the backside. Again, trying to combat a lot of the negative side effects from being in a seated position for too long. When we're seated, there's a lot of pressure from the bottom of the seat pressing up against the back of the hip, and this can push the upper leg into a poor alignment where it sits in the pelvis. So for this drill, our goal is to recenter things. We're going to begin in a hands and knees position this time, just like so. There's a classic exercise drill called the cat-cow, often used in yoga or mobilization circuits, and it's just a spinal flexion extension drill. When we bow up like so, we call this the cat, and when we scoop down like that, we call it the cow. Your goal for this drill is to maintain a cow-type back throughout this drill. So be careful not to bow up too much. So with my cow back, I'm going to take my left leg and extend it out like so, as though I'm getting ready to do a push-up with it. So the toe is on the ground, but it's not really supporting me very much. Meanwhile, I'm bearing as much weight as I can through my right knee, which is still on the ground. From here, I'm going to begin to drift the hips over to the side, to my right side, until I feel a stretch in the back of the hip. I can bring it back home. I might drift it directly back. Again, bearing my weight through the right knee, staying low with my cow back, and even back and to the right, so sort of diagonal. And I'm going to work these different angles as much as I can, again, listening to my body to see where I feel the biggest and most intensive stretch sensation. If you don't feel much of a stretch and you're looking for something more intense, we can make this a little tougher by taking that right leg and sweeping it under the left. So in this case, if my right foot is pointing to 6 o'clock, I'm going to sweep it under so it points to 8 o'clock. And then from here, I'm likely going to feel a little bit more tension. I can even use my left knee to pin it down if I want. And again, just working through that, bobbing in and out, trying to find where I feel tightest. Great job, guys. Let's switch it up. We'll go to the other side. So again, hands and knees position to start. Not the cat back, but the cow back. From here, my right foot and leg extends out like so, like it's getting ready to do a push-up. And I'll start bearing my weight through my left knee and drifting over to any combination of left and back. If I want to get a little spicier, I can sweep under, going from 6 o'clock with the left foot, in this case, now to 4 o'clock. But again, I keep on doing the same motion, which is drift to the left and or back, letting my body tell me what feels tightest. If we're not careful on this drill, it's easy to start bearing all of your weight on just your hands or your opposite leg, but you really want to try and bear your weight as much as possible through the knee of the hip that we're working. And relax. Next up, we're going to begin to focus on the hamstring, or the back of the upper leg. Very often when we refer to hamstring, referencing that part of the body, we use the term singularly, hamstring. But in fact, our hamstring group is comprised of multiple different muscles. So we're going to start with a drill that's designed to hit them in combination, singularly by themselves, and then both together. For this drill, I'd like you to sit up with your right leg out straight and your left knee bent in with the leg out of the way. It can be wherever you like. And if I can't straighten my right leg, I'm just going to straighten as much as I can. It might be more like this, or even like this. And our first drill is pretty simple. I'm going to bring my nose towards my toes of the right foot. And if I want to, I can hold on to the toes. If I can't reach them, I can hold on to the shin. If I have a band handy, I can even use that to wrap around the arch of the foot and pull me in. And again, using that same Moog technique, I can come into the stretch and back out. Come into the stretch and back out. just like so. Repeating that pattern, each time going as low as you possibly can, and each time coming up enough to remove the stretch sensation. All right. Next up, to focus more on the inner aspect of the hamstring group, if right now my leg is at 12 o'clock, I'm going to keep it at 12 o'clock, but instead of me leaning to 12 o'clock, I'm going to lean to 10 o'clock. So the foot is out at 12 o'clock, I'm leaning towards 10 o'clock. It looks just like this. And again, fine-tune the angles based upon your body's feedback. If leaning a certain way or a little bit of rotation allows for a greater stretch sensation, then keep working with that. Some people find this variation, this angle, to feel a little looser than the first one we did. Sometimes tighter. There is no right or wrong, guys. And now we'll switch to what's likely to be the most challenging of the three variations we're going to do today. We did foot at 12, lean to 12. We did foot at 12, lean to 10 o'clock. And now we're going to do foot at 12, so again it remains still, and we're going to lean to 2 o'clock, towards the outside of the body. This will likely be a bit tighter as we focus more on the external or lateral aspect of the hamstring group, like this. Again, just go as far as you can comfortably. As you can see, I can't go very far. I'm pretty tight here, and that's okay. Make sure you're breathing deeply the entire time. Maybe 3 more times in. We'll go 1, lean, 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 lean. Back off, always touching end range of motion. Lean in for 2. Back off. And 1 more time. There we go. Excellent. We'll now repeat this sequence on the opposite side. So I'll show you with left leg from a front view. So again, I've got one leg out straight, or as straight as it can go. And for my other leg, I can bring it up, I can bring it out to the side, whatever works for me to keep it out of the way. I'll use my strap again, but it's not required. With my left leg as straight as can be, I'm going to lean nose to toes, everything to 12 o'clock. Just like so. Let's go 2 more flexions, please. 2 more folds. Great job. Next up, just as we did on the other leg, we'll keep the leg at 12 o'clock, but now we're going to lean forward, in this case at 2 o'clock. All right, so it's inverted because we're doing the opposite side leg. So I'm leaning to the interior to 2 o'clock, foot stays at 12. Just like so. One more time, please. Very good. And again, if anything feels extra tight or stretchy, pause the tape, give it some more rotations. There's not really an upper limit to this. More is almost always going to be better. Lastly, we go to our external. In this case, it means foot stays at 12 o'clock. I will lean to 10 o'clock, like this. Again, trying to get my nose as close to the ground as it will go. Obviously today, pretty tight. Not really getting super close. That's okay because I still feel the stretch. And relax. Guys, we're almost there, but we're not there yet. 2 more drills for you. We're going to continue to work on the posterior, or the back of the leg. For this drill, we're going to be in a similar position where I've got one leg drawn in and my other leg out like so. My objective here is to straighten the leg most of the way, but still to keep about 6 inches between the back of the knee and the ground. So the knee is bent a bit, and there's about 6 inches between my knee and the ground. From here, I will lean forward until I feel a stretch. If I want, I can still use my strap, but it's completely okay to do it without. Either way, once I'm leaning forward as far as I can and feeling a bit of a stretch, my goal is to keep my upper body as low as it is right now, but start extending at the knee and trying to press this knee into the ground. So if I'm doing this, and I'm already, when the knee is bent, in a stretch position, by pressing this down, I'm asking the tissue to lengthen further, thus enhancing the stretch. Again, that flossing technique, right? So working back and forth here, pressing the back of the knee into the ground, or as close as I can get it, all the while staying low with the upper body. Coming in and out of that deep stretch position. One more time. Back it off. Let's flip around to the other side. Same technique. I'll use a strap this time, but it's not required. Left leg is out, right leg is in. There is some bend in the left knee and about 6 inches between it and the ground. If I'm using a strap, I can loop in. I'm going to lean forward until I feel a stretch, and then while staying low, start flossing. That is tight. Keep the upper body low as you can. 2 more, please. And relax. Alright guys, as promised, one more drill to go, and our circuit will be complete. For this drill, I'd like you to sit on the ground and bring your legs in like so. Now, if this is a challenging position, you might just bring your legs out like this, or maybe together like this. You get to choose where precisely you're going to be, but your goal is to bring the feet as together as you can, and as close to you as you can. So for me, it looks something like this. Your legs might be up here or down here. Wherever they naturally fall is fine. My goal is to sit as upright as I possibly can. So using my best posture to stay tall, and using what we call having a seat on my sit bones, which basically just means my pelvis is not tipped back. All right, so by sitting up tall, I can pretty much ensure that my pelvis and my sit bones are where they should be. From here, we're going to do 3 variations on this stretch. The first is just falling forward. So with arms out, we're just going to lean forward as far as you can, comfortably, falling deep into a stretch, just like so. While here, a few deep breaths, please. I'm not pulling on my feet. I'm not forcing the stretch. I'm not pushing my legs down. I'm letting gravity do the work here. And I'm just trying to fall into this. Just relax into this position. One more deep breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Don't come up out of the stretch yet though. Or maybe do it just for a moment to watch me. Now, while keeping my lower body where it is, I'm going to lean my upper body towards 10 o'clock. So I'll lean forward like so. And this might feel a little different. We're biasing things to one side. So you might feel something in the lower back, perhaps in one of the hips. There's no wrong spot to feel it. This is what we call a self-diagnosing stretch, meaning of all the tissues being stretched here, wherever you happen to be tightest, that's where it's going to stretch. A couple deep breaths here. We're almost home, guys. And now, while you're already down there, just walk it on over. Before we were at 10 o'clock, now we'll go to 2 o'clock. So the other side. And explore what this feels like. Maybe more tight, maybe less. Maybe we feel it in different places. Breathing deep through the nose. In and then out through the mouth. One more deep breath. Relax and come back up to an upright position. And that concludes our hip mobility circuit for the day. A couple takeaways here. Number one, these drills are especially designed to help out if we spent a lot of time in a seated position for that day. So you might want to call up this circuit in particular when you've had a day that you've spent more time than usual seated at a desk or on the couch. Secondly, as you noticed, we did different drills which put the stretch on different aspects of the tissue in and around the hip. They're going to feel different for different people, and even for the same person, they'll feel differently on different days. Don't blindly just follow the program. Use the feedback of what your body tells you so you can prioritize which drills you spend more time on. If one of these drills didn't really feel stretchy, skip it. Your body's fine right now, and just do it on occasion to make sure it stays that way. And if one of these drills felt extra tight or extra stretchy, please give it some more time. The more time you spend on these stretches, the faster you'll see improvement. Again, I'm Ben Supik from Activate Body. Thank you so much for tuning into my mobility circuit today. We'll have plenty more coming. Thank you.